Hi guys, my name is Katie or Kbdoesart, and today we're going to be modeling a guitar in Maya. So first things first, go ahead and click space, and we're going to go into the front view because I actually want to bring in a reference for this guy. So go up to view, go down to image plane, and then click on import image, and then go ahead and just bring in whatever image you find online. I just kind of grabbed one from Google, and it's just going to be like the front view. Let's scale this guy up, and then I want to move him up a little bit, not too much. Alright, so I'm thinking probably what I'm gonna end up sculpting this out of is a cylinder. Except I want the cylinder to be facing me. So let's go ahead and rotate that, going over to your attribute editor and then rotate it 90 degrees so that the front is facing us. And then go ahead and select the object and scale it up. And then what I'm thinking is that we'll just kind of like morph the vertices. So just scale it up until it's like roughly the size of it. And then go to Vertex Mode and click this button up here for the wireframe mode. And then we're just going to be taking each of those vertices and kind of scaling them out. I do want to make sure that my symmetry right here, you can usually find this by clicking, there should be like 3 lines here. So the first line is symmetry. So go ahead and click on Object X, I believe is what we want. And then go into Vertex Mode, and you see when you select one, it should select the other, so perfect. Oh, I forgot something. Go ahead and click that image plane, and then when you click on image plane shape, click on display looking through camera. That way it's only in the front view and not in any of the other views here. Alright, and then I think we can like probably turn down some of this like color gain and stuff. It doesn't need to be so bright. Okay, so go ahead and just select one by one the vertices. Make sure your symmetry object X is on. You can find it under this line right here. That way your guitar is perfectly symmetrical when you are scaling it and everything. So just select each of these vertices and bring them in. Alright, then you can go ahead, go back into just normal viewing, smooth shader, and let's select these faces. Let's extrude them in and offset them in by, let's do maybe like just 0.1. Go ahead and go into this view. Oh, I didn't realize this is so large. Go ahead and select those back vertices and just click W and bring those guys in so it's a little bit more thick, or at least a little bit more realistic to what a guitar would be like. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to take these faces on the front and we're just going to delete them because the guitar is hollow. And then what you'll do is go into edge mode, double click on that edge, the inner edge, and do mesh fill hole. So it should look like this. Alright, so let's make sure everything kind of looks okay. Next thing we're going to go through and do is bevel all these edges. So go ahead, double click on those edges and do Control B for beveling. Let's do 2 segments, and this should probably be a good fraction. Yeah, actually this looks great. Alright, so next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and chop a hole through this guy. So go ahead and, actually the first thing we need to do before we chop any holes is do mesh smooth. So this will get us pretty similar to what pressing 3 on our keyboard does. So As you can see, it's almost like perfectly smooth. If you do 2 divisions, it's even more smooth. Next thing we're going to do is chop a hole through this guy. So go ahead and grab a cylinder, and then we want to rotate it again so the heads are facing towards us. So go to your attribute editor and put in 90 on that X value. Go ahead and click R and scale it up, and then just move it into position where it needs to be. That looks pretty good right there. Thinking. All right, so next thing we need to check is in perspective view, we're gonna move the cylinder so that it is going into this guy. It needs to be a bit longer, actually. You want it to be longer and not shorter, so that looks pretty good. Next thing you're going to do is go ahead and click your guitar, click that cylinder, go ahead and do mesh, booleans, and difference. And then go ahead and select these faces. And these faces on the inside, and you can just delete them. Alright, one other thing I want to do is select your top face, basically, and then you will probably have to just go through and like hold tab when you're doing this and select it like this. Make sure not to grab any of those guys on the back. Remember to get these faces as well, really small. Alright, whenever you got that, then do Command E and extrude and up that thickness like that. And then go ahead and select this edge and this edge, making sure you actually got the whole edge. There's a lot of pieces that are on this edge, so just make sure you got them all. Especially like I'm seeing some small ones in there. Okay, that looks good. Control B for beveling, add 2 segments, and then you can kind of edit the fraction however you want. Oh, that did not do what I wanted it to do. Okay, anyways, that's fine. Okay, so next thing on our table, I think we're going to go ahead and add this part down here, which will just be a cube that we manipulate, and then we will add this part here, the neck of our guitar. So go ahead and grab that cube, move it on down here, and then just gonna kind of scale it to be the length you need it to be. I wouldn't edit, like don't move it side to side because I want it to be symmetric. So I would just leave it like that. Okay, so next thing you can also add some like divisions, maybe like five divisions or so. Actually, you can go a little bit higher, like 10. 10's good. And then maybe like 4 in the height. Maybe 4 on that one as well. There we go. Alright, and then you can go ahead and move it closer, and then definitely does not need to be that wide. Yeah, maybe like a 0.2 on that depth. And then just push it so that it's slightly clipping it like that. And then all you're gonna do is just move some vertices around, make sure symmetry is still on for object X. But yeah, that's about it. So just go ahead and manipulate these guys. All right, perfect. Next thing, it looks like the next part we have are just some tiny little toruses. So grab a torus and then change the rotation to 90. And then you can move it down here and scale it. Also go to Polytorus 1 and you can change the radius to be like 1.5 or 1.2 or just something similar. And then you can also change the amount of divisions it gets. I think I'm going to keep it at 20 because I like the smoothness that 20 gets you. Yeah, that's good. Let's do like 0.8 for the radius maybe. And then you're just gonna... I'm going to do 1.2 for the radius and then just scale them down and position them so that they're in place. And then all you want to do is just clip it so that it's clipping our guy like that. Alright, so next thing you're just going to be doing is just duplicating that guy. So Command D and just move him over. And you can just kind of move them according to your silhouette. It could be a little off. Alright, there we go. Alright, so next thing is go ahead and grab a cube and bring it on down here. First things first, I want you to actually select all of those edges. So literally all of the edges going around this guy. Don't miss any of them, and do Control V for beveling. Do 2 segments and then make the fraction real small like that. Alright, now that that's done, go ahead and click R in object mode, scale him down, and then we're just going to be kind of fitting him into this. So I'm going to scale him up a bit, then you kind of tilt him so that he fits and move him however you kind of think needs to work. Alright, and then he does not need to be that thick, so you can definitely make him a bit thinner. Maybe like that. And then whenever you think you're ready, just go ahead and push W and clip him into that mesh. Okay, so next up is going to be the neck of our guitar. So what you're going to want to do is go ahead and grab a cube and let's move him up here, and then you can kind of scale him up, maybe move him over, and then scale him. Let's see, we can probably just go all the way to the top and then we can make that difference a little bit later. Totally feel free to clip like the actual guitar here. That's totally fine. And then what I would do is look up a picture of a guitar from like the side view. That way you know how thick it should be. Let me find an example. So here's a great example. So you can see it's definitely not so far back, it's right off the front, and then we'll make that little curve down there as well. Actually, why don't we just go ahead and bring this guy into Maya, save a side image, and then go into that side view like this, and then click on View, Image Plane, Import Image. Go ahead and find that image that you just downloaded. There we go. And then, you know, position him accordingly. Scale him up, move him. All right, actually I was pretty close on my thickness. That's great. When you click on the image, make sure you do looking through camera so that it's only in this view. All right, let's go ahead and click on this guy. Let's go to Vertex Mode and just select, oh, actually, let's just do Object Mode. And then you can just scale him down a little bit and move him like that. And then let's go back into Perspective View. I want you to select all these edges, going all the way around and on the bottom. There we go. And then do Control B for beveling, do 2 segments and a small fraction like that. All right, let's go back into this view. Let's go ahead and move this object so it's more clipped to it like that. You know, I wonder if I could just extrude faces. Let's do that. Go ahead and select these faces. All right, so my plan is, instead of using that cube, what I actually want to do is select specific faces and then use those faces and extrude them. So looks like we only need like these guys, and then hold tab and you can take out the ones that you don't think you need. I think that's probably thick enough. We don't need these side ones, so you can get rid of that. Okay, so let's see how this goes. You're gonna just extrude that. And then click W and just move it on, oh, something. Make sure you don't have any random guys selected on each side. Then extrude, and you can totally just click W and push it up. All right, and then I just clicked those edges and brought them in a tad because I want to try and match my model a little bit more, probably about like there. All right, so next thing is making sure it's the right size back here. So I'm just gonna scale it, and then let's select this back face. And then click W and just push it in a tad. Just trying to match up with this side view and how big it should be. And then go into Vertex Mode, select these top vertices, and then just bring them to where it fits like that. My references are like a little bit off on scale, so you can just choose which one that you want to go off of. All right, hold Shift and right click on the object and go to our Multicut tool. Hold Control and make a ring right here. And then you're just going to continue to make rings going down. All right, so next thing I want to do, let's see. I want to select these vertices and click W and just bring them out like that. And then go into the side view again. Okay, went a little too far. Go about there. And then you can just select the rest of your vertices and scale them out like that. All right, here we go. Now we've got that little part of our guitar like that. All right, so the next thing is going to be the top of the guitar. So, okay, so my plan is to use these guys. And take these faces, extrude them, and let's go ahead and move them up like that. This is what I'm going to use for this part. Let's go into object mode, hold shift and right click and go to multi-cuts, and then you can hold control and middle click to just get some loops halfway through like that. And then let's go into click Q, go to vertex mode, and you're just going to scale up these vertices so that it fits our silhouette. All right. And then let's make sure that fits in our side view, because what we're going to do next is move those guys and probably like thicken them up a bit. Let's go into perspective view. Let's select these faces and then do extrude and up that thickness. Make sure you got it to the right degree. It looks pretty good. All right. And then next thing we need to do is add those pegs at the top. So I think I could probably form them out of a cylinder. Let's try that. Grab a cylinder, let's move it on up here, go into attribute editor and give it a 90-degree rotation, and then click R and scale it down and just move it over, and then we're gonna move it up to be like that. And then I don't really want to change, I mean, I guess I could scale my shape a little bit to be like that. Okay, I like that. That looks good. Go ahead and just duplicate that and then move it. And kind of just move them around to be in that same position. Duplicate that. Actually, instead of doing it that way, just select these three and duplicate those and then just move them over like this. Trying to eyeball how like close and far apart they are. Okay, so next thing, select all those guys, go into perspective view and push them so that they are matching up here, and then click E and you can rotate them and then, you know, push each of them accordingly to how they should fit. Also click R and scale them down. They shouldn't be that thick. There we go. That's probably good. And then two at a time, you can select them, push W, and okay, don't know why I have two of them. Delete those duplicates. And then just move them. Same with those guys on the other side. Select them and move them. Just so that they all look like they're kind of matching accordingly. All right, next thing is we need another cylinder. So grab that guy. I actually need his rotation to be a little bit different. So instead of 90 on the X, do 90 on the Z. There we go. All right, next thing, scale it down super small, like real thin, and then make it long like that. this is going to connect our pegs to the neck. Alright, so then basically just gonna go like that and scale it in, and then duplicate, move it up, position it so that it goes through them like that. Good. Duplicate it, move it up, move it again. Alright, and then just make sure nothing's clipping anywhere or anything. That should be pretty good. Alright, let's go to front view. Let's see what we're missing. It looks like we need some pegs in here, which is what the strings connect to. So let's grab a cylinder, move it up, give it a 90-degree rotation on the x-axis, click R and scale it, and then move it. Seems like I made it a little too small. Maybe that's good. Right, and then let's go ahead and duplicate that one. Press W and move it, and then you can just duplicate both of them, push W, move them down, and then duplicate, push W, and move down. And then you can click R. Actually, no. Go ahead and click W and just bring them in a little bit so that they match up with your silhouette like that. Okay. Okay, and then gotta make sure they all clip onto our neck here. So select all of them, click W, and let's bring them over. Click E, rotate them so that they are gonna clip. And do one by one. So first make those two at the bottom clip. There we go. Let's center them a little bit. And then push them in. Adjust your rotation as needed. And then select the next two and just push them in, and then select the next two and push them in. There you go. Great, now we've got those guys. So then I think really the last part would just be to add in the strings. That should be it. Oh, we could technically go through on the neck and like add in multi-cuts and then extrude those guys. Let's do that right now, actually. All right, so go ahead, hold Control. Let's be in, let's see, be in this view. I'm in my back view, but it might be your front view. Depends on what way your object went. I'm gonna go ahead and put my reference into this view, into the back view, so I can see it. And then just, you know, scale it, move it, you know. There we go, you can turn on your alpha gain so that it's like transparent. It's kind of nice. Okay, there we go. So, also you can do, I totally forgot about this, but when selecting that image, you can actually like add it to a new layer and call that layer a reference layer. And then you won't be able to like select it, and you'll only be able to select your object, which can be super useful. So let's go ahead and do that now. Go into multi-cut tool, and we're just gonna hold Control and just make multi-cuts on all of these little frets. Okay. Go ahead and select this vertex. We're gonna push it in a little bit. Same with this guy and this guy. Just trying to build the neck down a little bit. Okay, and then go ahead and select these faces. And then we're gonna extrude and hold control and just, you can just kind of put, you just kind of bring those guys out a little bit. Maybe like that. And then you can select these vertices and bring them in to make it a bit more straight. There we go. Okay, so next thing, let's go ahead and grab that multi-cut tool again, and then wherever you made a line before, we're gonna go through, actually I guess I could bevel. Okay, so for each of those frets, what we're gonna do is bevel those lines. So let's go into edge mode, click Q, and then you're just gonna basically select hold on, I'm realizing I didn't add enough multi-cuts. Quick, just gonna add one there, add one there, add one down here. Okay. Okay, so go ahead and grab edge tool, click Q, grab an edge, and then just make the fraction, you can just do one segment and then just make the fraction pretty small. Maybe like 0.1 is good for each of them. And then you're just gonna do that for each of them. So Control B for beveling, one segment, give it like a 0.1, and then just keep going down the board. Okay, so once you've done that, click on those faces that you've just created, going all the way up. There we go. And then go ahead and do Command E or Control E to extrude those guys, and then just hold Control and up that thickness. Maybe like to 0.05 or so, not huge. All right, and then I did also notice that like there's some defining circles, so let's grab that cylinder again, and then in your attribute editor, change the rotation to be 90 on the X as always. Move it on up. and then scale it down to be the size of one of those little holes. That's probably good. And then it looks like there's one on like the third, so you can kind of like eyeball it where it is. Put one here. Try and put it pretty far in. And then duplicate that, move it down. There we go. And then duplicate that, move it down. Actually, I think there's supposed to be 2 on this one, so we'll just go like that. And then duplicate that guy. Actually, let's duplicate the one above it so we can just push them down like that. Okay. Duplicate the 2 and move those guys down. Bring them out a little bit more. And then duplicate the 1, and that can be our last one down here. Okay, now we've got those defining features. So I'm thinking that really the last thing we need is those strings. So string-wise, I think I'm probably just going to use a really long cylinder. So grab a cylinder, make it pretty long, not super long, and then let's make the radius like 0.02 or something. There we go. That way it's like super thin. And then really all we're going to be doing is just kind of shaping it by the vertices, I think is what I'm going to try and do it by. So we know that it has to connect here. So I would, you know, move it, make sure it's like clipping that section. Okay, there we go. And then, oh, it actually needs to be a little bit longer. There we go. And then before I start like moving them around, I first just really want to duplicate him and then just move him over. So duplicate that guy, push him over, duplicate him again, push him over, duplicate, move him over, all the way until the end. There we go. All right, so now we've got our strings, and now we're just gonna kind of manipulate those vertices. All right, so go ahead and just select those vertices and then just get them connected kind of somewhere up at the top over here to whoever he's connected to. Go ahead and turn symmetry off for this part. And then really all you're going to be doing is just adding in multi-cuts and moving those multi-cuts. So let's add one here. Go and select those vertices and then just move them on out so that they're on the board like that. And then just make sure they're doing all good out here. Probably be good to push them over a bit so that they're not falling off of the board. So you can kind of push them in like that. All right, let's keep going. Go ahead and select these vertices, connect them to the next one, add in a fun little multi-cut, few, and just move them around. Okay, that looks good. I do want to make sure that this, oh, I see. Grab this set and just bring them out a little bit. I want them to kind of float off the board a tad more, so they're not like completely on the board. All right, let's grab these guys. Connect those guys. All right, obviously I know that this isn't the most accurate model of a guitar. If you were looking for an extremely accurate representation, this is definitely not it. I just need this for like a quick little scene, so I'm not looking for like precision. Like no one's gonna be playing this is what I'm saying. It is not that kind of guitar. But if you do need a guitar for that, I would highly recommend a different tutorial that kind of goes more into depth of like rigging a piece that is needed for that function. But yeah, full disclosure, this is not, it's not a realistic representation. Don't come at me for it. Yeah, that's all I have to say. All right, make sure that each of these guys, I want to make sure that they're like fully clipping into them. More like that. All right, 3 more left. Let's go and just position these. All right, and then let's add multi-cuts into each of them. There we go. And then for each of them, grab those vertices and just bring them in. Okay, just making sure that all of these guys are pretty well spaced, I would say. Okay, so looks like that's it. Got all the strings in place. I can't really think of anything else that we need to add on here. So yeah, if you guys need any help on anything, let me know. But yeah, that's basically it. So drop any questions you have in the comments below or email me. My email should be in the description. But I will see you guys for whatever we are creating next time. Bye, guys!